On Woodbury's 7 lakes, or countless holding ponds, ice forms in the winter. As the heat of the spring comes in, the ice begins to thaw out. When this happens, it's much easier to slip into the cold water underneath.
But on a day like today, there's a lot of open water on Colby Lake, and someone might wander a little close or wander in an area that there's some soft ice, and if they drop through, they're going to reach hypothermia very, very quickly, and that means they're going to have a very difficult time pulling themselves out.
For that reason, Woodbury Fire trains annually in cold water rescue drills.
We've trained extensively on how we deploy teams and how we get in the appropriate gear, how we might actually send somebody in the water in a cold water suit and get that victim out of the water as soon as possible.
The rescue starts on dry land. In the case of an actual emergency, firefighters gear up on the way to the site. They wear an item that looks like a brightly colored wetsuit.
We call it PPE, which is personal protective equipment, and that's a cold water suit. So it's very different than something someone might wear when they're scuba diving in the Caribbean.
Cold water suits have thick insulation, which protects firefighters from the dangers of the cold. It's hooded and wraps tightly around the face of the rescuer, protecting the chin, neck, and ears when diving.
When you're in that suit, you're actually pretty comfortable when you're in the water. In fact, you're extremely buoyant to the point that you couldn't even go underwater if you tried.
Rescue teams operate in pairs. The first rescuer will jump in after the victim.
When a victim's in the water, we actually kind of skirt around the back of them and rescue them by connecting them to a rescue rope from behind, just to avoid being pulled under as they're thrashing to try to get out of the water.
The remaining teammate, called a tender, remains on the ice attached to the other end of the rope.
That person's even connected to the ice with an ice screw, so we make sure the rescuer in the water is safe and the person who's actually pulling the rescuer out of the water is safe as well.
Luckily, the department responds to 1 or less of these types of calls per year. Even so, Woodbury Fire trains yearly to stay up to date on rescue procedures.
One of the things we notice a lot is news reports from all around Minnesota and all around the U.S. of trucks and cars going in the water, people going in the water, snowmobiles breaking through the ice. So even though it's a relatively rare event here in Woodbury, we're prepared for it, and just like all of our training, we're well prepared if something happens tomorrow.